Welcome to another miraculous edition of the Corey Margera Show. I'm your host, your Lord and Savior of eternal coolness, Corey Margera, your motherfucking taste god. And in this episode, I'm going to be starting a new series. The name of this series is called Things That Should Have Happened. And this is basically going to be a series of wrestling storylines that I think should have happened that it made no sense for them not to happen. And in this first episode of Things That Should Have Happened, I'm going to talk about how back in 2002, there should have been a merger between the nWo and D-Generation X. There should have been a fucking merger, and the way I would have done it is, let me just get right to the point. I mean, you had the nWo make their debut at No Way Out 2002. You had the original founding fathers, the original three members, Hogan, the Outsiders, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. And, they're obviously, we all know what happened. Hulk Hogan went on to do better things. He became a face again, started rocking the red and yellow. And, Scott Hall got fired. They brought in X-Pac, brought in the Big Show. They brought in Shawn Michaels, and here's what should have happened. What should have happened was the nWo getting into Triple H's face. Not attacking him, not hugging him or anything like that, just getting into his face. Trying to intimidate him, because in 2002, Triple H was pretty fucking hot, whether you like the guy or not. He was very over in the early part of 2002. He just came back from that quad injury that he had, and he was getting huge ovations. He was a face, and this could have been a start to something really special. You had the nWo, who's a bunch of heels. Even JR said in commentary they're one of the reasons why WCW went out of business, and they're gonna be brought in. They're going to be a bunch of company-killing bastards. Vince McMahon doing that weird shit he did with the nWo logo on the back of his chair. And, they come in, they start beating up, Rock, Austin, the top guys, but they don't beat up Triple H. That's the one face, the one good guy that they don't beat up, the one face that, doesn't get beat up. They just stare at him. You get Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, looking at Triple H, just giving them giving each other intimidating stares, just stare downs, not saying a word, not saying a thing. They confront each other, but all they do is just look at each other in an intimidating manner. They don't say anything. They don't talk about the old days or the clique or anything like that. And that's basically what this storyline is going to lead to. The DX and the nWo merging together to form the new clique. And that would have been a huge badass storyline in 2002. Especially when you're having The Rock and Austin leave and you need something that's really interesting to bring people back into wrestling. You had Brock Lesnar come in. You had Eric Bischoff as GM of Raw. That's some good stuff. But for the most part, 2002 could have been way better than what it was. We all know it. The beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era could have been way better than what it was. And, this could have been a perfect opportunity to have Kevin Nash, even if after Scott Hall gets fired, you bring him back. Because this is going to be good for business. As long as the motherfucker isn't getting drunk, this is going to be good for business. You bring his ass back 6 months later. Be like, what is Scott Hall doing? You have Jim Ross and the King, saying on commentary, my God, what is Scott Hall doing here? He was fired. He's not supposed to be here. And then King saying something heelish oh, well, you know what? I something, fucking something. And, making an excuse of why he's there. Maybe he paid to have a ticket in the front row. Kind of like how it was in WCW 1996. You had Sean Waltman. He was in the front row. You had Ted DiBiase in the front row. You could just make it seem like, Scott Hall, he's just a paying fan. He's here to see the show. And, he's like a plan or something. And then all of a sudden, worst come to worst, you have Shawn Michaels join the NWO or something like that, and then Triple H starts looking at Shawn Michaels like what the fuck is this? You wearing the NWO colors? And then, Triple H gets real pissed off at Shawn Michaels. They're looking at each other like, holy shit, I thought we were friends. I thought we were bros. We go way back and shit like that. And then, Shawn Michaels just looks at him basically saying, times have changed. And he's NWO for life and this and that, and they really start getting heated with each other. And, Triple H, he has a match with Shawn Michaels, and this is basically what can happen. Triple H, he basically he's getting heated. He's looking like the game. He's looking like the cerebral assassin, like he's gonna kick Shawn Michaels' ass. And then all of a sudden he just drops down, and Shawn Michaels does like the finger poke of doom and pins Triple H 1, 2, 3. And then you have Kevin Nash and Scott Hall coming out, and then they're like looking at each other like what the hell is going on here? And like it's looking like it's about to get real fierce. It's about to get real just crazy. Like a war's about to break out, and they all just start hugging each other. You could bring in Scott Steiner too. He could be part of this new clique. And you got like Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, X-Pac, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Scott Steiner. And this is like the new clique. It's like a merger. They announce on Raw that nWo and D-Generation X have merged together. Well, you know what? Here's how else you can do it. X-Pac, he's gonna abandon the NWO and try to be with Triple H, no, Shawn Michaels can either way. You could have like either Shawn Michaels or X-Pac abandon the NWO and join Triple H's new form D-Generation X. It's a much more serious version of DX. They're not gonna start doing jokes yet until like the merger of DX and NWO start happening. Then they're gonna start doing jokes and stuff like that again. But this version of D-Generation X that Triple H is building, it's a much more aggressive, serious version of D-Generation X. And he's recruiting people like Scott Hall. He could try to recruit Rob Van Dam. Somebody who's like edgy, laid back, cool. Somebody but at the same time, someone who's badass, and serious. And this new merger, it could be like the D-Generation X nWo merger. It's like the new clique. And for the first time in history, we're seeing the clique as an actual stable in wrestling. And this is during a year where wrestling is just going downhill. You have the brand split of Raw and SmackDown, and it fucking sucks. Or even better, instead of Evolution, Triple H brings Randy Orton and Batista, and that's like the new DX. He could bring in maybe Sean Waltman, Scott Hall. I mean, not Scott Hall. Scott Steiner. He could try to recruit him, and Scott Steiner ends up being an nWo member. And then there's so many possibilities you could do this with, man. And this could have been like an epic storyline. The DX nWo merger in 2002. Like right after The Rock left, Stone Cold left, you could have been selling out arenas even without those guys if you had a storyline this big. The nWo D-Generation X merger, the clique, for the first time on live TV on Raw, and especially at a time where a lot of people thought that Paul Heyman's SmackDown was better when he was writing for SmackDown. And he basically had Brock Lesnar, which I thought was a big mistake. I would have kept Brock Lesnar on Raw. I would not have put him on SmackDown, because that's your fucking B show. Why the fuck would you bring Brock Lesnar to SmackDown? But you should have your A players on Raw. I know you're trying to pretend like you're having like this competition with each other, Raw versus SmackDown, but at the same time, people aren't gonna buy into it because it's under the WWE name. No one's going to believe Raw versus SmackDown. That was stupid of them to do. I mean, yeah, you could have the brand merger and, like, pretend like you're competing with each other to a certain extent. But at the same time, you guys didn't do anything with it. I would have made D-Generation X in 2002. I would have had Shawn Michaels stay with the NWO. Triple H, he starts recruiting guys like Randy Orton and Batista, and this is a more serious version of D-Generation X. Recruiting guys who could be funny. Randy Orton can still be the legend killer. He could still be disrespectful, but he's like a D-Generation X member now. And Batista, he's like the muscle of the team. And keep Ric Flair out of it. Keep Ric Flair out of this shit. And he, like, Ric Flair should not, because just keep him out of it. Just keep him out of it. I know he was a big part of Evolution, but keep him out of it because he's old. He's past his prime. He can manage somebody else. Let him manage. Who else was there in 2002? I don't know, but like bring in like like he could have done something else. You could have made him like a backstage. He could have been like backstage, like as a trainer or, like a mentor or something like that. Don't put him in D-Generation X. He does not. He's 4 Horsemen. He doesn't fit in that stable. He doesn't fit in that storyline. He can actually, what? He can like turn face, like basically saying, Triple H, I thought you were a real man. I supported you when you came back into this company earlier this year, from the quad injury. I thought you were a real man. I thought you had integrity, and this is what you do. You align yourself with that scum, the NWO, and then he tries to bring back the Horsemen or something like that and just job them out quick. Because this new clique, this new NWO D-Generation X merger is what's going to sell tickets. You know for a fact that's what's going to sell tickets. NWO D-Generation X merger, the clique, basically, like you got Scott Steiner, Randy Orton, Batista, Triple H, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, X-Pac, you can, like, you have there's so many endless possibilities with a storyline like this. If it would have happened back in 2002, and which it should have happened back in 2002, WWE was not thinking, But that's just my opinion. That's a storyline that should have fucking happened. The possibilities were endless. You could have had like Ric Flair trying to bring back the Horsemen. You could have had Chris Benoit on Raw. You could have had like this new. He could have got like the new Horsemen, the new Radicals, or something like that. Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Ric Flair. 2 other guys. And they could have feuded with this new clique, this new D-Generation X NWO merger. This could have been this could have made some really good TV. This could have made some fucking awesome TV. Could have got Raw's ratings even higher than they were in 2002. Because, with The Rock and Stone Cold leaving, you got to come up with something that's, fucking cool, fucking badass, fucking good, that's going to make people want to watch your shit. And this could have did it. This could have fucking did it. You could have had Brock Lesnar come out as like I don't know, because he was with Paul Heyman, so you could have did something, man. Even if you sent Brock Lesnar to SmackDown, he's feuding with The Undertaker, you could have did something better than what they actually did do, which was have Triple H being a political bitch. Because that's sure as hell gonna sell tickets. You have Triple H going back to being a heel, and he's burying Rob Van Dam, Kane, Scott Steiner, and Booker T, and all these other guys, Goldberg. I mean, you could have had, when Goldberg came back in 2003, he could have feuded with the NWO D-Generation X merger. Hell, I mean, you had The Rock as a heel coming back for a little bit. There's so many good storylines that could have happened in 2002, 2003 that, wrestling could have stayed on top. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, but wrestling could have stayed on top. They could have made this, forget WCW versus WWF. They fucked that up with the invasion. This could have been the storyline that got people back into wrestling. This would have been the shit. This would have got ratings. This would have sold shirts. They could have came out with a new logo that was kind of like a fusion between like the nWo logo and the D Generation X logo. And this could have been good shit right here, man. This could have been great. This could have been gold, but they fucked it up. That's just my thoughts on storylines that should have happened. This for the first edition of this episode. What do you guys think? What would you have done in 2002? After The Rock and Austin left. What would you have done to make the early days of the ruthless aggression era much more interesting? Let me know. Let me hear your thoughts. Obviously, if you're a new wrestling fan, you started watching in like 2006 or the 2000s. I don't really want to hear your opinion, but I mean, if you've gone back and watched the Attitude Era, the early days of the ruthless aggression era, and the earlier part of the 2000s, then yeah, I would love to hear your feedback. But whatever. What are you guys' thoughts? Rate, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got right now. This has been the first edition of what should have happened in wrestling, and that's it. Later.